The city buzzed with life, its streets teeming with people of all walks. Amongst the throng, Detective Alex Turner prowled, his sharp eyes scanning for any sign of trouble. It was just another day in the concrete jungle until a call came in. "Detective Turner, we've got a case," his partner, Detective Sarah Jackson, announced, her voice crackling through the radio. "What's the situation, Sarah?" Alex replied, his curiosity piqued. "A burglary at the Wentworth mansion. Seems like the thief made off with a priceless heirloom," Sarah explained. Alex's mind raced as they sped towards the mansion. The Wentworths were an old money family, their history steeped in mystery and intrigue. As they arrived, they were greeted by a distraught Mrs. Wentworth. "It's gone, Detective," she cried, her hands trembling. "The Diamond of Alexandria, it's been stolen." Alex surveyed the scene, his trained eyes picking up on subtle clues. He noticed scratch marks near the window, indicating forced entry. But something felt off. Why would a thief target such a well-guarded mansion for just one jewel? As they interviewed the staff and inspected the security footage, a pattern emerged. A shadowy figure had been seen lurking in the vicinity for days, leading up to the theft. But their face remained hidden, obscured by darkness. "I think we're dealing with a professional," Alex mused, his mind racing with possibilities. With no solid leads, they delved deeper into the Wentworth family history, uncovering long-buried secrets and bitter rivalries. Everyone seemed to have a motive, but no one had a solid alibi. Days turned into weeks as the case grew colder. Alex and Sarah chased down every lead, but the elusive thief remained one step ahead. Just when they were about to give up hope, a breakthrough came. A tip-off led them to a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. As they approached cautiously, they could hear muffled voices from within. With guns drawn, they burst through the door, only to find themselves face to face with the shadowy figure. "Hands where I can see them," Alex commanded, his heart racing. But instead of resistance, the figure dropped to their knees, their hood falling back to reveal a face they never expected. "Mrs. Wentworth?" Sarah gasped, disbelief etched on her face. The heiress of the mansion looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. "I had no choice," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "They threatened my family." As the pieces fell into place, Alex realized the truth behind the theft. Mrs. Wentworth had been coerced into betraying her own family by a shadowy underworld syndicate. But even as they arrested her, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. The Diamond of Alexandria was still missing, its whereabouts unknown. As they drove back to the station, Alex couldn't help but ponder the lessons learned from this case. Sometimes, the line between right and wrong blurred in the face of desperation. And in a city shrouded in shadows, the truth was often the hardest thing to uncover. But one thing was for certain: the hunt for the Diamond of Alexandria was far from over. And as long as there were shadows lurking in the city, Alex Turner would be there to chase them down. Back at the precinct, Alex and Sarah pored over the evidence, trying to piece together the puzzle of the stolen heirloom. Despite Mrs. Wentworth's confession, there were still too many unanswered questions. "We need to find out who's pulling the strings behind this," Sarah said, her brow furrowed in frustration. Alex nodded, his mind already turning over the possibilities. They combed through their informant network, following every lead that might shed light on the shadowy syndicate. Their efforts led them to the underbelly of the city, where whispers of a figure known only as the Shadow King circulated amongst the criminal underworld. It was said that he controlled everything from the shadows, his influence reaching even the highest echelons of society. But getting to him wouldn't be easy. The Shadow King operated with ruthless efficiency, leaving no trace of his involvement behind. As they dug deeper, they found themselves drawn into a web of deceit and betrayal, where trust was a rare commodity and danger lurked around every corner. Their investigation took them to the darkest corners of the city, where the neon glow of the streets masked the true face of the underworld. They followed a trail of breadcrumbs, each clue leading them closer to the heart of the mystery. But the closer they got, the more dangerous their pursuit became. They found themselves targeted by hired thugs and shadowy assassins, each encounter pushing them to their limits. Through it all, Alex and Sarah remained steadfast, their determination unshakable. They knew that the only way to uncover the truth was to confront the darkness head-on, no matter the cost. Finally, their efforts paid off as they uncovered a hidden lair deep beneath the city, where the Shadow King held court over his criminal empire. With guns drawn and hearts pounding, they stormed the stronghold, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as they breached the inner sanctum, they were met with an empty room, the echoes of their footsteps the only sound to greet them. The Shadow King had vanished, leaving behind nothing but whispers and shadows. Frustration boiled within Alex as he realized they had come so close, only to have their prize slip through their fingers once again. But deep down, he knew that their fight was far from over. As they regrouped back at the precinct, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of unease lingering in the air. The Shadow King may have eluded them for now, but his presence loomed over the city like a dark cloud. And as long as he remained at large, the shadows would continue to dance, concealing the truth from those who dared to seek it. Days turned into weeks as Alex and Sarah found themselves locked in a relentless game of cat and mouse with the Shadow King. Each lead they followed seemed to evaporate into thin air, leaving them grasping at shadows. But they refused to give up. The pursuit of justice burned within them like a flame, driving them to continue their search for the elusive mastermind behind the stolen heirloom. As they delved deeper into the underworld, they began to uncover a pattern emerging from the chaos. The Shadow King's influence stretched far and wide, ensnaring everyone from low-level thugs to high-ranking officials in his web of deceit. But the more they uncovered, the more dangerous their investigation became. They found themselves targeted at every turn, their every move watched by unseen eyes. Yet, amidst the danger, they found allies in unexpected places. Informants whispered secrets in darkened alleys, their faces hidden in the shadows. Each clue brought them closer to the truth, no matter how elusive it seemed. Finally, their relentless pursuit led them to a forgotten warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, they found a labyrinth of hidden passages and secret chambers, each one a testament to the Shadow King's cunning. As they navigated the maze, they could feel the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. This was their chance to finally confront the shadowy figure who had eluded them for so long. But as they reached the heart of the warehouse, they were met with a shocking revelation. The Shadow King stood before them, his face hidden in the darkness, his voice a low whisper that sent shivers down their spines. "I've been expecting you, Detective Turner," he said, his words dripping with malice. Alex's hand tightened around his gun as he prepared to face their adversary head-on. But before he could make a move, the Shadow King vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a mocking laugh echoing in the empty chamber. Frustration boiled within Alex as he realized they had once again come up short. But amidst the disappointment, a glimmer of determination burned bright. "We'll get him, Sarah," Alex said, his voice filled with resolve, "no matter what it takes." And with those words, they knew that their battle against the shadows was far from over. The pursuit of justice would continue, casting light into the darkest corners of the city until the Shadow King was brought to justice once and for all. As the days stretched into nights, Alex and Sarah found themselves consumed by the relentless pursuit of the Shadow King. Every lead they followed seemed to lead to another dead end, and frustration gnawed at the edges of their resolve. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged. A mysterious informant reached out to them, promising information that could finally bring down the Shadow King once and for all. With cautious optimism, Alex and Sarah arranged to meet the informant in a deserted alley on the outskirts of the city. As they waited in the shadows, anticipation coursed through their veins, mingled with a healthy dose of skepticism. Their patience was rewarded when a figure emerged from the darkness, their face obscured by a hood. The informant's voice was a low whisper, barely audible over the distant hum of the city. "I know how to find the Shadow King," they said, their words laden with the weight of truth. Alex's heart raced as they listened intently, their senses on high alert. The informant revealed a hidden network of tunnels beneath the city, where the Shadow King conducted his darkest dealings away from prying eyes. With the promise of redemption within their grasp, Alex and Sarah wasted no time in mobilizing their forces. Armed with newfound determination, they descended into the depths of the underground, ready to confront the shadows that lurked within. The tunnels were a labyrinth of darkness, twisting and turning like the tangled web of the Shadow King's machinations. But they pressed on, driven by the burning desire for justice. As they navigated the maze, they encountered obstacles at every turn. Traps lay in wait, triggered by the slightest misstep, and danger lurked around every corner. But they refused to be deterred. With unwavering resolve, they pushed forward, their determination unyielding in the face of adversity. Finally, they reached the heart of the underground network, where the Shadow King held court over his criminal empire. The air was thick with tension as they prepared to confront their adversary once and for all. But as they breached the inner sanctum, they were met with an unexpected sight. The Shadow King stood before them, his face revealed at last, twisted by years of darkness and deception. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as Alex and Sarah locked eyes with their nemesis. But before they could make a move, the Shadow King spoke, his voice laced with resignation. "You've won, Detective Turner," he said, his words a bitter admission of defeat. With a heavy heart, Alex realized that victory came at a cost. The Shadow King may have been defeated, but the scars he left behind would linger long after his reign had ended. As they led the Shadow King away in handcuffs, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of closure wash over him. The shadows that once loomed over the city had been cast aside, replaced by the light of justice shining bright. But even as they emerged from the darkness, Alex knew that their fight was far from over. In a city where shadows lurked at every turn, the battle between good and evil would continue to rage on, a never-ending cycle of redemption and retribution. And as long as there were those willing to stand against the darkness, the light would always prevail in the end. With the Shadow King behind bars, the city breathed a collective sigh of relief. But for Alex and Sarah, the victory was bittersweet. They knew that the shadows that had haunted the city for so long would not fade away so easily. As they returned to their duties at the precinct, a new case landed on their desks. A series of mysterious disappearances had gripped the city, each victim vanishing without a trace, leaving nothing behind but questions and uncertainty. Alex and Sarah knew that they couldn't ignore the call for help, no matter how exhausted they felt from their recent battles. With renewed determination, they delved into the investigation, determined to uncover the truth behind the disappearances. Their search led them down a twisted path of deceit and betrayal, where every clue seemed to lead to more questions than answers. They encountered dead ends and false leads at every turn, their frustration growing with each passing day. But amidst the chaos, a pattern began to emerge. The disappearances were linked to a shadowy figure known only as the Puppeteer, a master manipulator who pulled the strings from behind the scenes. With a sense of déjà vu, Alex and Sarah realized that they were once again facing an adversary who thrived in the shadows. The Puppeteer's motives remained unclear, but one thing was certain. They were playing a dangerous game with lives hanging in the balance. As they pieced together the puzzle, they found themselves drawn into a web of intrigue that stretched far beyond the confines of the city. Dark secrets were unearthed, and old wounds were reopened, threatening to tear apart the fragile fabric of society. But Alex and Sarah refused to back down. With dogged determination, they pursued the truth, no matter how elusive it seemed. Their investigation led them to a deserted warehouse on the outskirts of town, where they finally came face to face with the Puppeteer. But as they prepared to confront their adversary, they were met with a shocking revelation. The Puppeteer was none other than a trusted member of their own team, a shadowy figure who had been pulling the strings from within, Betrayal cut deep as Alex and Sarah realized that the enemy they had been searching for had been hiding in plain sight all along. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged. With the truth finally revealed, they could begin to unravel the tangled web of deceit that had ensnared them. And as they moved forward, they knew that the shadows would always be there, lurking just beyond the light. But as long as they stood together, they would never be consumed by the darkness. The revelation of the puppeteer's identity sent shockwaves through the precinct. Trust shattered like glass, leaving behind a sense of unease that lingered in the air like a thick fog. But amidst the chaos, Alex and Sarah remained determined to uncover the truth. With the puppeteer apprehended and awaiting trial, they turned their focus to the larger conspiracy that had been lurking in the shadows. They combed through evidence, piecing together fragments of information in their quest for justice. But the deeper they dug, the more they realized that the puppeteer was just a pawn in a much larger game. A sinister organization loomed on the horizon, its tendrils reaching into every corner of the city. As they followed the trail of breadcrumbs, they found themselves drawn into a world of corruption and betrayal, where loyalty was a rare commodity and danger lurked at every turn. But amidst the darkness, a beacon of hope emerged. A whistleblower stepped forward, offering crucial information that could bring down the organization once and for all. With their newfound ally at their side, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock, determined to expose the truth before it was too late. They faced countless obstacles along the way, their resolve tested like never before. But they refused to be deterred. With unwavering determination, they pressed forward, their hearts set on redemption. Their journey led them to a hidden hideout deep within the city, where the leaders of the organization held court over their criminal empire. With guns drawn and hearts pounding, they stormed the stronghold, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as they breached the inner sanctum, they were met with a shocking revelation. The leaders of the organization were none other than high-ranking officials within the city government, their faces twisted by greed and corruption. For a moment, disbelief washed over Alex and Sarah as they realized the extent of the conspiracy they had uncovered. But amidst the chaos, a sense of clarity emerged. They had always known that the shadows ran deep in the city, but they never imagined the extent of the darkness that lurked within. With the evidence in hand, they moved swiftly to bring the leaders of the organization to justice, their actions sending shockwaves through the city. But as they emerged from the shadows, they knew that their fight was far from over. In a city where corruption ran rampant, the battle between good and evil would continue to rage on. And as long as there were those willing to stand against the darkness, the light would always prevail in the end. The aftermath of the exposure of the corrupt organization sent shockwaves throughout the city. Citizens were stunned by the revelation that those in positions of power had been using their authority for personal gain, and trust in the government plummeted. Alex and Sarah found themselves hailed as heroes, their actions praised for uncovering the truth and bringing the perpetrators to justice. But amidst the accolades, they couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. The city was in a state of turmoil, its foundations shaken to the core. With the corrupt officials behind bars, a power vacuum emerged, leaving the city vulnerable to those who sought to exploit its weaknesses. As they grappled with the fallout of their actions, Alex and Sarah were approached by a group of concerned citizens who sought their help. They spoke of a rising tide of crime and violence that threatened to engulf the city, fueled by the chaos left in the wake of the organization's downfall. With a heavy heart, Alex realized that their fight was far from over. The shadows that had plagued the city for so long still lurked in the darkness, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Determined to restore peace and order to the city, Alex and Sarah embarked on a new mission. They rallied the citizens, forming a coalition of like-minded individuals who were willing to stand against the tide of corruption and violence. Together, they patrolled the streets, offering a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. They worked tirelessly to rebuild the trust that had been shattered, forging bonds that would withstand even the greatest of challenges. But amidst the chaos, a new threat emerged. A shadowy figure known only as the Phantom began to wreak havoc across the city, striking fear into the hearts of its citizens. With their newfound allies at their side, Alex and Sarah pursued the Phantom with unwavering determination. They chased shadows through the alleyways, their footsteps echoing in the darkness as they closed in on their elusive prey. But the Phantom was cunning, always slipping through their grasp at the last moment. It seemed as though they were always one step ahead, leaving behind nothing but a trail of destruction in their wake. As the city teetered on the brink of chaos, Alex and Sarah realized that they were facing their greatest challenge yet. The Phantom's true motives remained unknown, and their actions threatened to plunge the city into darkness once more. But amidst the uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged. For in the face of adversity, Alex and Sarah knew that they were not alone. They had the support of the citizens, united in their determination to stand against the shadows and reclaim their city. And with that knowledge burning bright in their hearts, they prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight for redemption until the very end. The hunt for the Phantom consumed Alex and Sarah, their days blending into nights as they pursued the elusive figure through the labyrinthine streets of the city. But despite their best efforts, the Phantom remained one step ahead, their identity shrouded in mystery. As they delved deeper into the investigation, they uncovered clues that hinted at a connection between the Phantom and the shadows of the past. Long-forgotten secrets resurfaced, casting a haunting shadow over their pursuit. Driven by a relentless determination to uncover the truth, Alex and Sarah retraced the steps of those who had come before them, piecing together fragments of a story that had been buried beneath the sands of time. Their journey led them to the heart of the city, where they discovered a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of an old mansion. Within its walls, they found evidence of a secret society that had once wielded great power, its influence stretching back centuries. But as they delved deeper into the secrets of the past, they realized that the Phantom was not just a lone figure, but a pawn in a much larger game. The true mastermind behind the chaos remained hidden, pulling the strings from the shadows. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to uncover the identity of the Phantom's puppet master. Their pursuit led them to the darkest corners of the city, where they faced trials that tested their courage and resolve. But amidst the chaos, a ray of light emerged. A chance encounter with an enigmatic stranger led them to a revelation that would change everything. The stranger revealed himself to be a member of the ancient society, tasked with protecting the city from the shadows that threatened to consume it. He spoke of a prophecy that foretold of a chosen one who would rise to face the darkness and restore balance to the world. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah realized that they were the ones destined to fulfill the prophecy. Together, they embarked on a journey that would take them to the very heart of the shadows, where they would confront their greatest fears and discover the truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. Armed with courage and determination, they faced the Phantom and their puppet master in a final showdown that would determine the fate of the city. And as the shadows began to recede, a new dawn rose over the horizon, casting light into the darkest corners of the world. With the city safe once more, Alex and Sarah knew that their journey was far from over. But as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows of the past and forge a new destiny for themselves and their city. With the city's immediate threats subdued, Alex and Sarah found themselves grappling with the weight of the revelations uncovered in their quest. The ancient society, the prophecy, and their newfound roles as guardians of the city weighed heavily on their minds as they sought to make sense of it all. As they delved deeper into the ancient texts and hidden archives, they unearthed fragments of truth that shed light on the origins of the society and the prophecy that foretold of their coming. But with each revelation came more questions than answers, leaving them with a sense of unease that refused to dissipate. Determined to uncover the full extent of their destiny, Alex and Sarah embarked on a journey of self-discovery, seeking out those who could shed light on the mysteries that surrounded them. Along the way, they encountered allies and adversaries alike, each one offering a piece of the puzzle that would ultimately lead them to the truth. But as they drew closer to the heart of the mystery, they found themselves facing challenges unlike any they had encountered before. The shadows that had once seemed so tangible now shifted and morphed, eluding their grasp at every turn. With their resolve tested to its limits, Alex and Sarah leaned on each other for support, their bond growing stronger with each passing obstacle. Together, they navigated the treacherous terrain of the unknown, determined to uncover the truth no matter the cost. But as they approached the final threshold, they realized that their journey was far from over. The true test of their strength and courage lay ahead, waiting to be conquered by those brave enough to face it head-on. With the weight of destiny upon their shoulders, Alex and Sarah steeled themselves for the ultimate confrontation. As they stood on the precipice of revelation, they knew that their actions would shape the fate of not just the city, but the world itself. With hearts filled with determination and minds ablaze with purpose, they took their first steps into the unknown, ready to confront the shadows of revelation and emerge victorious on the other side. As Alex and Sarah ventured deeper into the heart of the mystery, they encountered challenges that tested not only their courage, but also their very understanding of the world around them. The shadows seemed to thicken, enveloping them in an ever-present sense of foreboding as they pressed forward. Their journey led them to ancient ruins, where whispers of long-forgotten prophecies echoed through the corridors. Symbols etched into stone revealed glimpses of a truth that had been hidden for centuries, guiding them ever closer to their destiny. But with each revelation came new dangers. The forces that sought to keep the truth hidden grew more desperate, their shadows twisting and writhing as they fought to maintain their hold over the world. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah pressed on, their determination unwavering in the face of adversity. Along the way, they encountered allies who offered guidance and support, their presence a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. As they neared the final confrontation, they found themselves standing on the precipice of destiny. The shadows loomed large around them, threatening to consume everything they held dear. But with the strength of their bond and the courage of their convictions, Alex and Sarah faced the darkness head-on. They confronted the forces that sought to keep the truth hidden, their actions driven by a sense of purpose that burned bright within them. In the ultimate showdown, they faced their greatest challenge yet. The shadows coalesced into a formidable foe, their power unmatched by anything they had faced before. But Alex and Sarah refused to be intimidated. With every blow, they fought back with a ferocity born of their unwavering belief in the righteousness of their cause. And as the final shadows fell away, the truth was revealed in all its glory. The prophecy had foretold of their coming, their actions guided by a destiny that had been written in the stars. With the shadows vanquished and the truth laid bare, Alex and Sarah emerged victorious, their hearts filled with a sense of triumph that transcended words. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger for it, their bond unbreakable in the face of adversity. As they stood together, bathed in the light of a new dawn, they knew that their journey was far from over. But with the shadows of the past behind them, they faced the future with hope and determination, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. With the shadows of the past finally vanquished, Alex and Sarah stood on the threshold of a new era. The city basked in the glow of their victory, its streets buzzing with renewed hope and optimism. But amidst the celebration, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The whispers of the past still haunted the corners of their minds, reminding them that the shadows could never truly be banished. As they returned to their duties at the precinct, a new case landed on their desks, pulling them back into the fray. A string of mysterious disappearances had gripped the city once again, each one bearing the hallmarks of a darkness they thought they had left behind. With a sense of déjà vu, Alex and Sarah delved into the investigation, determined to uncover the truth behind the latest wave of disappearances. But as they followed the trail of clues, they realized that they were facing a foe unlike any they had encountered before. The shadows seemed to have taken on a life of their own, twisting and shifting in ways that defied explanation. It was as if the darkness itself had been reborn, hungering for vengeance against those who had dared to challenge it. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah pressed forward, their determination unyielding in the face of the encroaching darkness. But with each step they took, they felt the shadows closing in around them, threatening to swallow them whole. As they unraveled the mystery, they uncovered a sinister plot that reached far beyond the confines of the city. A shadowy organization lurked in the shadows, its members plotting to unleash chaos upon the world. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to stop the organization before it was too late. But as they confronted their adversaries, they realized that they were facing an enemy far more powerful than they had ever imagined. In the final showdown, they stood against the darkness with all the strength and courage they could muster. But as the shadows converged around them, they knew that this battle would test them like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, they emerged victorious once again, their bond stronger than ever before. But even as they celebrated their triumph, they knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. And as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. In the aftermath of their latest victory, Alex and Sarah found themselves grappling with the lingering sense of unease that permeated the city. The shadows, once banished, seemed to have taken root once again, their presence casting a pall over the streets. Determined to uncover the source of the renewed darkness, Alex and Sarah delved into the investigation with renewed vigor. They combed through the evidence, following every lead that might shed light on the growing threat. But as they navigated the treacherous waters of the criminal underworld, they encountered obstacles at every turn. The shadows seemed to have eyes and ears everywhere, thwarting their every move with uncanny precision. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah pressed forward, their determination unyielding in the face of adversity. With each setback, they grew more resolved to uncover the truth and restore peace to the city once and for all. Their investigation led them to the heart of the shadows, where they discovered a clandestine organization that had been lurking in the shadows all along. Its members wielded power and influence beyond measure, their reach extending far beyond the confines of the city. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to dismantle the organization before it could unleash its nefarious plans upon the world. But as they confronted their adversaries, they realized that they were facing an enemy far more formidable than they had ever imagined. In the final showdown, they stood against the darkness with all the strength and courage they could muster. But as the shadows converged around them, they knew that this battle would test them like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, they emerged victorious once again, their bond stronger than ever before. But even as they celebrated their triumph, they knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. And as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. The victory over the clandestine organization brought a temporary reprieve, but Alex and Sarah knew that the shadows would not remain dormant for long. As they returned to their duties at the precinct, a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air, reminding them that their battle against the darkness was far from over. Their fears were realized when a new wave of crime swept through the city, more brazen and ruthless than ever before. It was as if the shadows themselves had taken on a life of their own, striking out with a ferocity that sent shockwaves through the streets. Determined to stem the tide of chaos, Alex and Sarah threw themselves into the investigation, following every lead that might bring them closer to the source of the darkness. But with each passing day, their frustration grew as the shadows seemed to slip through their fingers. In their darkest moments, they found solace in each other, drawing strength from the unbreakable bond that had carried them through countless trials before. Together, they pressed forward, their resolve unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. Their journey led them to the heart of the city, where they discovered a shadowy figure known only as the Shadow Lord, a master manipulator who pulled the strings from behind the scenes. His influence stretched far and wide, ensnaring even the most powerful figures in his web of deceit. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to confront the Shadow Lord and put an end to his reign of terror once and for all. But as they closed in on their elusive prey, they realized that they were facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. In the final showdown, they stood against the Shadow Lord with all the strength and courage they could muster. But as the shadows converged around them, they knew that this battle would test them like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, they emerged victorious once again, their bond stronger than ever before. But even as they celebrated their triumph, they knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. And as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. The defeat of the Shadow Lord brought a brief respite to the city, but Alex and Sarah knew that the battle against the shadows was far from over. As they returned to their duties at the precinct, they remained vigilant, knowing that the darkness could rise again at any moment. Their fears were realized when a series of bizarre incidents began to unfold across the city. Strange occurrences, seemingly unrelated yet undeniably sinister, sent ripples of unease through the streets. Determined to uncover the truth behind the strange events, Alex and Sarah embarked on a new investigation, piecing together clues that hinted at a dark and malevolent force at work. But as they delved deeper into the mystery, they found themselves facing obstacles unlike any they had encountered before. The shadows seemed to have taken on a life of their own, twisting and distorting reality in ways that defied explanation. Undeterred, Alex and Sarah pressed forward, their determination unyielding in the face of adversity. With each revelation, they drew closer to the heart of the darkness that threatened to consume the city. Their journey led them to a forgotten corner of the city, where they discovered an ancient artifact of unimaginable power. Its origins were shrouded in mystery, its purpose unknown, but one thing was clear. It was the key to unlocking the secrets of the shadows. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to prevent the artifact from falling into the wrong hands. But as they confronted their adversaries, they realized that they were facing an enemy far more powerful than they had ever imagined. In the final showdown, they stood against the darkness with all the strength and courage they could muster. But as the shadows converged around them, they knew that this battle would test them like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, they emerged victorious once again, their bond stronger than ever before. But even as they celebrated their triumph, they knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. And as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. The aftermath of their latest victory left Alex and Sarah with a sense of unease that lingered in the air like a thick fog. Despite their triumph, they knew that the shadows would always find a way to claw their way back into the city, their presence a constant reminder of the fragility of their world. As they returned to their duties at the precinct, a new case landed on their desks, pulling them back into the fray once more. A string of seemingly random attacks rocked the city, leaving devastation in their wake. Determined to uncover the truth behind the attacks, Alex and Sarah delved into the investigation with renewed vigor. But with each passing day, their frustration grew as the shadows seemed to slip through their fingers. Their journey led them to the heart of the darkness that lurked within the city, where they discovered a sinister plot that threatened to plunge the world into chaos. A shadowy figure known only as the Harbinger stood at the center of the conspiracy, his motives shrouded in mystery. With time running out, Alex and Sarah raced against the clock to stop the Harbinger before it was too late. But as they closed in on their elusive prey, they realized that they were facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. In the final showdown, they stood against the Harbinger with all the strength and courage they could muster. But as the shadows converged around them, they knew that this battle would test them like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Alex and Sarah fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, they emerged victorious once again, their bond stronger than ever before. But victory came at a cost. In the heat of battle, Alex had made the ultimate sacrifice, giving his life to save the city from the darkness that threatened to consume it. As Sarah stood over his grave, her heart heavy with grief, she knew that the fight against the shadows would continue. But now, she would face it alone, her partner's memory a guiding light in the darkness that lay ahead. The loss of Alex weighed heavily on Sarah's heart as she grappled with grief and the daunting task of continuing their fight against the shadows alone. But even in her darkest moments, she drew strength from the memory of her partner, his courage and unwavering determination serving as a guiding light in the midst of darkness. As Sarah returned to her duties at the precinct, she found herself haunted by memories of their past adventures together. Each case they had solved, each victory they had achieved, served as a reminder of the bond they shared and the legacy Alex had left behind. Determined to honor his memory, Sarah threw herself into the investigation with renewed purpose. With each step she took, she felt Alex's presence beside her, urging her forward in the fight against the shadows that threatened to engulf the city. Her journey led her to the heart of the darkness that still lurked within the city, where she discovered a new adversary lurking in the shadows. A formidable figure known only as the Dark Master stood at the center of the conspiracy, his malevolent presence casting a shadow over everything he touched. With time running out, Sarah raced against the clock to stop the Dark Master before his plans could come to fruition. But as she confronted her adversary, she realized that she was facing a foe unlike any she had encountered before. In the final showdown, Sarah stood against the Dark Master with all the strength and courage she could muster. But as the shadows converged around her, she knew that this battle would test her like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Sarah fought with everything she had, her determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, she emerged victorious once again, her resolve strengthened by the memory of her partner's sacrifice. As she stood over the Dark Master's defeated form, Sarah knew that her journey was far from over. The shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. But as long as she stood true to the values she and Alex had fought for, she would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. In the wake of her latest victory over the Dark Master, Sarah found herself grappling with a newfound sense of purpose. The memory of Alex burned brightly in her heart, his legacy fueling her determination to continue their fight against the shadows. As she returned to her duties at the precinct, Sarah threw herself into the ongoing battle against crime and corruption with renewed vigor. But even as she worked tirelessly to protect the city, she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows were closing in around her. Her fears were realized when a new threat emerged, more insidious and elusive than any she had faced before. A shadowy figure known only as the Shadow Weaver began to sow chaos throughout the city, his presence casting a dark pall over everything he touched. Determined to stop the Shadow Weaver before his influence could spread further, Sarah delved into the investigation with single-minded focus. But with each step she took, she found herself ensnared in a web of deceit and betrayal that threatened to unravel everything she held dear. As she uncovered the truth behind the Shadow Weaver's machinations, Sarah realized that she was not just fighting to protect the city, but to redeem herself in the eyes of those she had sworn to serve and protect. For too long, she had allowed the shadows to consume her, but now she had a chance to make things right. In the final showdown, Sarah stood against the Shadow Weaver with all the strength and courage she could muster. But as the shadows converged around her, she knew that this battle would test her like never before. With the fate of the city hanging in the balance, Sarah fought with everything she had, her determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, she emerged victorious once again, her soul cleansed by the light of redemption. As she stood over the Shadow Weaver's defeated form, Sarah knew that her journey was far from over. The shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the moment to strike again. But as long as she remained true to the values she and Alex had fought for, she would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. With the Shadow Weaver defeated, Sarah felt a sense of relief wash over her. Yet, amidst the calm, she couldn't shake the feeling that a new storm was brewing on the horizon. The city remained shrouded in uncertainty, its streets whispering tales of darkness yet to come. As Sarah returned to her duties at the precinct, she found herself haunted by the memory of past battles and the sacrifices made along the way. The loss of Alex weighed heavily on her heart, a constant reminder of the price of their crusade against the shadows. But even in her darkest moments, Sarah found solace in the bonds she had forged with her fellow officers and the citizens of the city. Together, they formed a united front against the forces of darkness, their collective strength serving as a beacon of hope in the face of adversity. Determined to protect their city from whatever threats may arise, Sarah threw herself into the ongoing battle against crime and corruption with renewed determination. With each case she solved, each criminal she apprehended, she felt the shadows receding ever so slightly. Yet, just as she began to believe that the worst was behind them, a new darkness emerged from the depths of the city. A powerful criminal syndicate known only as the Umbra rose to prominence, its influence spreading like wildfire through the streets. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Sarah knew that she couldn't face the Umbra alone. She reached out to her fellow officers, rallying them to her side in a show of unity against their common enemy. Together, they launched a coordinated assault on the Umbra's operations, striking at the heart of their organization with precision and determination. But with each victory came new challenges, as the Umbra fought tooth and nail to maintain their grip on the city. In the final showdown, Sarah stood shoulder to shoulder with her fellow officers, their resolve unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. As the shadows converged around them, they fought with everything they had, their determination fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting not just for themselves, but for the future of their city. And as the final shadows fell away, Sarah emerged victorious once again, her faith in the power of unity reaffirmed. With the Umbra vanquished and the city safe once more, she knew that their fight against the shadows would continue. But as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. With the Umbra defeated and the city basking in a newfound sense of security, Sarah found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The battles fought, the sacrifices made. They were all etched into the fabric of her being, shaping her into the person she had become. As she returned to her duties at the precinct, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of peace settle over her. The shadows that had once threatened to consume the city now seemed like a distant memory, their power broken by the collective will of its citizens. But even as she reveled in their hard-won victory, Sarah knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the opportunity to strike again. It was a reality she had come to accept, a constant reminder of the fragility of their existence. As she worked tirelessly to protect the city from whatever threats may arise, Sarah found herself drawn to the memories of those she had lost along the way. Alex, her partner and confidant, remained a guiding presence in her thoughts, his spirit living on in the legacy they had built together. Determined to honor his memory, Sarah continued to fight for justice with unwavering resolve. With each case she solved, each criminal she apprehended, she felt Alex's presence beside her, urging her forward in the never-ending battle against the shadows. Yet, even as she faced new challenges and adversaries, Sarah knew that she was not alone. The bond she had forged with her fellow officers and the citizens of the city remained unbreakable, their collective strength a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. And so, as the sun set on another day in the city, Sarah found herself filled with a sense of hope for the future. The shadows may always linger on the horizon, but as long as they stood together, she knew that they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. As Sarah continued her vigilant watch over the city, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in how far they had come. The battles fought, the victories won. They had all left their mark on the fabric of the city, shaping its destiny in ways both profound and lasting. Yet, even in the midst of their triumphs, Sarah knew that the shadows would always linger on the edges of their world, waiting for the opportunity to strike again. It was a reality she had come to accept, a reminder of the ever-present need for vigilance in the face of darkness. As she patrolled the streets, Sarah found herself drawn to the places where their journey had begun, the memories of their past adventures echoing in the silent alleys and bustling thoroughfares. Each corner turned, each building passed, held a story waiting to be told, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. But amidst the echoes of the past, Sarah also found signs of hope for the future. The city had weathered countless storms, emerging stronger and more united than ever before. And as long as they stood together, she knew that they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows once more. As she watched over the city, Sarah felt a sense of peace settle over her. The battles may never truly be over, but as long as they remained vigilant and true to the values they held dear, she knew that they would leave behind a legacy worthy of remembrance. A legacy built on courage, unity, and the unwavering determination to protect those who could not protect themselves. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cityscape, Sarah stood tall, a guardian in the night, ready to face whatever shadows may come their way. In the wake of their countless battles against the shadows, Sarah found herself standing at a crossroads. The city had weathered storms and emerged stronger each time, but she knew that their fight was far from over. As she patrolled the streets, she couldn't shake the feeling that a new chapter was about to unfold. The signs were there, subtle yet unmistakable. Whispers of unrest echoed through the city, and shadows seemed to dance just beyond the edge of her vision. It was as if the darkness itself was stirring, restless and hungry for a new challenge. Determined to stay one step ahead, Sarah delved into the heart of the mystery, following every lead that might shed light on the looming threat. But as she searched for answers, she found herself facing obstacles unlike any she had encountered before. The shadows seemed to have taken on a life of their own, twisting and morphing in ways that defied explanation. It was as if they were preparing for something, gathering their strength for a final confrontation. Undeterred, Sarah pressed forward, her resolve unwavering in the face of adversity. With each step she took, she felt the weight of their collective history bearing down upon her. The battles fought, the sacrifices made, all leading to this moment. As she reached the heart of the darkness, Sarah discovered a revelation that shook her to her core. The shadows were not just a force to be reckoned with. They were a reflection of the city itself, its fears and insecurities given form. With this newfound understanding, Sarah realized that the key to defeating the shadows lay not in fighting against them, but in embracing them as a part of who they were. Only by acknowledging their presence and working together could they hope to overcome the darkness that threatened to consume them. In the final showdown, Sarah stood alongside her fellow officers, their unity a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. As the shadows converged around them, they fought with everything they had, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the final shadows fell away, Sarah emerged victorious once again, her heart filled with a sense of renewal and purpose. The city may always be plagued by shadows, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the darkness once more. As Sarah continued her vigilance over the city, a sense of unease settled over her like a heavy cloak. The streets were quiet, too quiet, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer than usual, as if reaching out for something just beyond her grasp. Determined to uncover the source of the growing tension, Sarah delved deeper into the heart of the city, following the trail of whispers and half-truths that seemed to lead her ever closer to the truth. But with each step she took, she felt the weight of the shadows pressing down upon her, threatening to swallow her whole. It was then that Sarah stumbled upon a revelation that shook her to her core. The shadows were not just a force of darkness. They were a manifestation of the city's darkest secrets, its fears and insecurities given form. Realizing the true nature of the shadows, Sarah knew that she could no longer fight against them. Instead, she had to confront them head-on, to shine a light into the darkest corners of the city and expose the truths that lay hidden within. With renewed purpose, Sarah rallied her fellow officers to her side, their unity a beacon of hope in the face of uncertainty. Together, they launched a full-scale investigation into the heart of the shadows, determined to uncover the secrets that lurked within. But as they delved deeper, they found themselves facing obstacles unlike any they had encountered before. The shadows seemed to have a life of their own, twisting and morphing in ways that defied explanation, as if determined to keep their secrets hidden from prying eyes. Undeterred, Sarah and her fellow officers pressed forward, their determination unwavering in the face of adversity. With each revelation, they drew closer to the truth, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were fighting not just for themselves, but for the future of the city they swore to protect. In the final confrontation, Sarah stood face to face with the source of the shadows, a figure shrouded in darkness and mystery. But as she looked into its eyes, she saw not a monster, but a reflection of the city itself, a city scarred by its past, yet filled with the potential for a brighter future. With a newfound understanding, Sarah reached out to the figure, offering a hand of reconciliation instead of confrontation. And as the shadows melted away, she felt a sense of peace settle over the city, a peace born from the realization that the true power to overcome darkness lay within themselves. And as Sarah watched the sun rise over the city once more, she knew that their journey was far from over. The shadows may always linger on the edges of their world, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the darkness with courage and compassion. As the city basked in the glow of newfound peace, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows were stirring once again. Despite their recent victory, a sense of unease hung heavy in the air, as if the darkness itself were biding its time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Determined to stay one step ahead, Sarah redoubled her efforts to protect the city, patrolling the streets with a watchful eye and a sense of urgency. But try as she might, she couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was lurking just beyond the edge of her vision. It wasn't long before her fears were realized when a series of mysterious incidents began to unfold across the city. Strange occurrences, seemingly unrelated yet undeniably ominous, sent shockwaves through the streets, leaving the citizens on edge and Sarah racing to uncover the truth. As she delved deeper into the investigation, Sarah found herself facing a foe unlike any she had encountered before. The shadows seemed to have taken on a life of their own, twisting and contorting in ways that defied explanation, as if driven by a malevolent force beyond their comprehension. Undeterred, Sarah pressed forward, her determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. With each clue she uncovered, she drew closer to the heart of the darkness that threatened to engulf the city, her resolve strengthened by the knowledge that she was fighting not just for herself, but for the safety and well-being of all who called the city home. In the final confrontation, Sarah stood alone against the source of the shadows, a formidable adversary cloaked in darkness and mystery. But as she faced down her foe, she realized that the true power to overcome darkness lay not in strength or force, but in courage and determination. With a fierce determination burning in her heart, Sarah confronted the darkness head-on, refusing to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the shadows receded, driven back by the light of her unwavering resolve, she felt a sense of triumph unlike any she had ever known. As the sun rose over the city once more, casting long shadows across the streets, Sarah knew that their journey was far from over. The shadows may always linger on the edges of their world, but as long as they stood together, she knew that they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the darkness with courage and determination. As Sarah patrolled the city streets, a sense of foreboding settled over her. The recent peace felt fragile, as if it could shatter at any moment. She knew that the shadows were always lurking, waiting for an opportunity to strike again. Determined to maintain the hard-won peace, Sarah reached out to her fellow officers, rallying them to stand together against the looming threat. With unity as their shield, they vowed to protect the city and its citizens from the encroaching darkness. But even as they worked to fortify their defenses, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Whispers of unrest echoed through the streets, and shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, as if guided by some unseen hand. As she delved deeper into the mystery, Sarah uncovered a sinister plot that threatened to tear the city apart from within. A shadowy organization known only as the Eclipse had infiltrated the highest levels of power, spreading corruption and chaos in their wake. Realizing the magnitude of the threat they faced, Sarah knew that they couldn't confront the Eclipse alone. She reached out to allies both old and new, forging alliances in the most unlikely of places as they prepared to stand united against their common enemy. In the final showdown, Sarah and her allies faced off against the Eclipse with all the strength and determination they could muster. As the shadows converged around them, they fought with a fierce resolve, their unity a testament to the power of solidarity in the face of adversity. And as the final shadows fell away, Sarah knew that their victory was not just a triumph over the Eclipse, but a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The city may always be plagued by shadows, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the darkness with courage and unity. As Sarah stood atop the tallest building in the city, the wind whipped around her, carrying with it a sense of anticipation. The time had come for the final showdown, the ultimate battle between light and darkness. Below, the city sprawled out before her, its streets teeming with life and energy. But amidst the bustling activity, Sarah could sense the undercurrent of fear and uncertainty that gripped its inhabitants. The shadows were closing in, their presence palpable in the air. With a heavy heart, Sarah turned to face her comrades, the brave men and women who had stood by her side through every trial and tribulation. Their eyes met hers with unwavering determination, a silent testament to their shared resolve to protect the city they loved. Together, they descended into the depths of the city, their footsteps echoing through the empty streets as they made their way towards the heart of the darkness. With each step, Sarah could feel the weight of their collective history pressing down upon her. The battles fought, the sacrifices made, all leading to this moment. As they reached the epicenter of the shadows, Sarah and her comrades found themselves face to face with their ultimate adversary, the embodiment of all the darkness that had threatened to consume their world. But as they prepared to confront their foe, Sarah realized that the true power to overcome darkness lay not in force or strength, but in hope and unity. With a fierce determination burning in their hearts, Sarah and her comrades launched themselves into battle, their resolve unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. As the shadows closed in around them, they fought with every ounce of strength they possessed, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they fought not just for themselves, but for the future of the city and all who called it home. And as the final shadows fell away, driven back by the light of their unwavering resolve, Sarah felt a sense of peace settle over the city once more. The battle may have been won, but the war against darkness would always be ongoing. Yet, as long as they stood together, Sarah knew that they would face whatever challenges the future held, ready to confront the shadows with courage, unity, and above all, hope.